U.S. President Donald Trump insists that any Iran deal would not allow any uranium enrichment. On his Truth Social account, Trump rejected reports that the U.S. proposal permits limited enrichment. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran will soon respond to the U.S. offer. The proposal mediated by Oman seeks to limit Iran's nuclear activity while allowing low-level enrichment for civilian use. Here's what the Iranian Foreign Minister had to say.
پاسخ خودمون رو و پاسخ مناسب رو به زودی خواهیم داد. پاسخی که مبتنی بر اصول جمهوری اسلامی ایران، منافع ملی مردم ایران و حقوق مردم ایران هست. و مسلماً هیچ توافقی وجود نخواهد داشت مگر اینکه به غنیسازی در ایران و ادامه غنیسازی احترام گذاشته بشه و غنیسازی ادامه پیدا بکنه.
An Iranian diplomat has also told Reuters that Iran is poised to reject the deal, calling it a non-starter that does not protect Iran's interests. According to Axios, the U.S. plan would allow Iran to enrich uranium up to 3%, enough for nuclear reactors but not bombs. Trump's administration calls the offer acceptable, but Iran demands full sanctions relief and continues to reject any restrictions on enrichment. Negotiations remain tense as both sides hold firm positions on this long-standing nuclear dispute. Now we move on to North America. The Trump administration is racing against time, calling on trading partners to deliver their best deals as it pushes to conclude a wave of trade negotiations in just 5 weeks. A draft letter from the U.S. Trade Representative's office reveals Washington's intent to fast-track discussions launched on April 9th, when President Donald Trump temporarily halted his controversial Liberation Day tariffs following a sharp market backlash. That 90-day pause expires on July 8th. Meanwhile, talks between India and the United States could soon deliver a breakthrough. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says both sides have found common ground, and a final round of in-person negotiations is slated for this week in New Delhi. Let's take a listen to his remarks.
And we've managed, I think, to be in a very, very good place, and you should expect a deal between the United States and India in the not-too-distant future, because I think we found a place that really works for both countries. We would like market access. We would like our businesses to have reasonable access to the markets. Now, in exchange for that, what India is going to want is they're going to want certain key markets that they're going to want to make sure that they have special access to the American marketplace.
In Europe, Britain's Trade Minister Jonathan Reynolds is set to meet U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer as both nations struggle to finalize a deal complicated by fresh U.S. tariffs on steel. And legal challenges continue to shadow the Trump administration's tariff strategy. The White House is now asking an appeals to court to put a temporary hold on a second ruling that claims President Trump overstepped his powers by imposing widespread tariffs. Officials argued that the verdict could undermine sensitive trade talks still in progress. Now we move on to Asia. South Koreans have started voting in a crucial presidential election, exactly 6 months after former leader Yoon Suk-yeol sparked political turmoil by declaring martial law. In the most recent developments, former President Yoon Suk-yeol and his wife Kim Kyon-hee voted at a school close to their home in Seoul. Early morning voters, including elderly residents in Seoul's Munrae-dong, were among the first to cast their ballots. Millions have already voted early, with over a third of registered voters participating in advance ballots last week, according to the National Election Commission. All polls show Liberal candidate Lee Jae-myung leading by a significant margin. The latest Gallup survey places him at 49% favorability, while conservative Kim Moon-soo trails with 35%. Voters are focused on the aftermath of the martial law declaration, which left South Korea without effective leadership during the early months of U.S. President Donald Trump's second term. Political experts say this election is seen as a referendum on the previous administration. The martial law declaration and Yoon's impeachment have divided the conservative base and swayed moderate voters. Yoon's impeachment, following his military deployment to parliament, makes him the second conservative president in a row to be removed from office after Park Geun-hye in 2017. Let's hear what voters have to say.
이제 서민들을 좀 생각해주는 그 대통령이 됐으면 좋겠어요. 우리나라
12월 3일 쿠데타도 청산을 해야 될 것 같고 그래서 이제 정권을 바꿔가지고 또 한번 새로운 나라가 되도록 해보려고 나왔습니다.
Now we move on to Africa. At least 30 people were killed in a Sunday attack on a military camp in central Mali, according to security sources and local officials who warned that the death toll may rise. The assault, believed to have been carried out by jihadists, targeted the Bulkesi army base near the border with Burkina Faso. In a separate incident, the northern city of Timbuktu experienced an attack on another military base. The army said it neutralized 13 attackers during the assault. The attack also involved shelling near the airport and heavy gunfire was heard in the area. The military added that it foiled an attempt by terrorist fighters to infiltrate the Timbuktu camp. They arrested 31 suspected terrorists. The army praised the quick response of their forces in repulsing the attackers. Now we move on to Sudan. Britain's Foreign Secretary David Lammy called Sudan the world's worst humanitarian catastrophe. He warned that the country is in deep crisis after more than 2 years of war. The conflict between Sudan's regular army and the rapid support forces has killed tens of thousands and displaced 13 million people. That's almost a quarter of the country's population. Infrastructure has been severely damaged and famine has struck several regions. Lammy criticized the lack of global attention to the crisis, saying the Western world has been ambivalent and indifferent. He promised to use his position to raise awareness and urge the international community to act. His remarks came during an event in Morocco hosted by the Mo Ibrahim Foundation. Well, that's all we have time for. We will continue